Hey everybody, this is Lieutenant Governor Matt Pinnell coming to you with another one of our Okla Proud interviews. I hope everybody is staying safe and sound, and congratulations on continuing to bend the curve. And I hope that we can safely and responsibly start opening some businesses back up in the future. But with that being said, we are continue to practice social distancing. There's still probably going to be a lot of us spending a lot of time at home. Kids are not in school for the remainder of this school year. And so we go kind of directly into summer months. And so we probably will be continuing to bring you just some great Oklahomans that are doing good work, we're all trying to get through this together. But we had not brought you a dietitian yet. And I think we all as a state, we want to be on top 10 lists, on good top 10 lists. In Oklahoma, unfortunately, when it comes to health statistics, we're not on a whole lot of good top 10 lists. And I think we could all do a better job of eating better and practicing better diet skills really in our homes. And with me today, I have Sheri Glazier, who is a registered dietitian, got a great background. Dirt road dietitian. You can't forget that. And she does a lot of work with the Beef Council too. And so with that, Sheri, I want to introduce yourself. Tell listeners and watchers a little bit about your background and how you got started in this.
Thank you so much, Matt, for having me on. I'm honored to be with you guys today. So in short, I guess my elevator speech would be I'm a mom, I'm also a farmer, but I'm also a registered dietitian. So I kind of have all those things very much grouped together, definitely in my social media. But just to give you a little today, I come from a long line of farming families that includes my own, as well as my husband, Kyle. So we primarily are in Kingfisher County. And yep. We are primarily have always raised wheat and cattle. We also do some sesame and right now too. So agriculture is very, very near and dear to my heart. But like I said, I family-wise is too. So my husband's family has farmed for a really long time, and so has my own. But I always really enjoyed the health and nutrition aspect of life. And I was active in sports, and ultimately I ended up deciding on a career path as a dietitian. And I have spent about somewhere around 8 years in a hospital as a dietitian, even through college, but also as a dietitian. So I worked in hospitals, I worked as a clinical dietitian and an outpatient dietitian. So I've worked with people one-on-one, I've seen the struggles, I know it. And ultimately, we also know there's a disconnect with agriculture as well too, and where our food comes from. And so I really feel honored to have grown up in a place where I really knew where food comes from. I know the struggles, whether it's in weather, whether it's markets, there's always something. My dad always said, he's like, I just can't go to a casino because I gamble every day. And so I always think about that because it truly is what we do. But ultimately, through finding those gaps in knowledge is where I decided that, you know what, social media can be a really not so great thing, but social media can be a really, really awesome thing. And if you really can find your niche and find where just be a positive light for people. And so that's where I kind of have directed my avenue of being a mom and also an agriculture producer, but also being a sound source of nutrition advice when everybody seems to have nutrition advice these days. So the road dietitian thus was born.
And when was it born? How long have you been at this?
So I've been doing it just for, I would say a year and a half, 2 years is what I would just kind of, and I just have gradually grown because you kind of figure out, do people even care about this? Is my life? Why do people care about this? Because it's something I've always known. So I don't, I probably have taken it for granted a little bit. Yeah.
Well, and you mentioned, I think today, and this is a good thing, in today's world, more and more people want to know where their food is coming from. They want to know what they're buying. And I hope that one of the positives that comes out of this really crisis that we're in is that more people realize that they shop local a little bit more. They realize what they're buying, even if whether they do go down to Walmart or if they're shopping in their local food market. Are you seeing that again with just kind of the viewership and the numbers that your numbers are going up? It's popular. Is that based a lot upon what you're kind of seeing from people that just want to know a little bit more about food safety and where their food's coming from?
And so that's the interesting thing. So a lot of us, I've shared this before, but we just basically, myself included, you kind of take it for granted. You go to the grocery store, you expect avocados to be there, you expect your beef to be there, you expect your flour to be there. It's just expected. We expected bleach to be there. And now a lot of those things, given our nature of the current situation, they're just not there. And so that's where it becomes a little bit uneasy, because it's always been, our food supply chain has been so smooth. That, it didn't matter the time of year. Seasonality didn't used to matter, because we could import things and do things. So it didn't matter what time of the year we wanted a fruit or vegetable, we could totally do it. But if you follow my Instagram, most of my stuff really behind what I call behind the scenes, or as my friend Brooke Taylor would say, where the real is shared is in my Instagram stories.
Okay.
And so in my Instagram stories, that's where I truly just, like, here's what we're eating tonight. And some night it's going to be, I just say pot roast, potatoes, carrots, really just simple, balanced meal. Then like last night, you might see cereal too. So I try to put a realistic perspective on it, because there's so much guilt that comes along with attempting to eat healthy and trying to do these right things, but also raising a family as well too. And so there's a lot of mom guilt that comes along, a lot of mom shaming. And I just really I just want to empower people to provide them realistic, simple meal ideas, and just provide some inspiration and know that, hey, you were doing a good job. You're doing a good job, Mom.
Yeah, that is excellent. Yeah, we've got 4 kids, and so we're in that same boat. We're trying to figure out how do we feed our kids healthy meals? And yeah, there is. Sometimes there's some shaming, unfortunately, that comes along with it when you're not eating healthy every single meal. But you nailed it. You said simple, healthy meals. So give us a few, again, for those watching, some ways. Again, you got moms and dads that have, Jim Gaffigan kind of made the joke, the comedian, that he kind of feels like they run a diner. They make, mediocre food for ungrateful people, and then they clean up and they do it all over again. So they kind of feel like they're running a diner right now. But maybe just a few, good lessons for folks when it comes to preparing meals, simple, healthy meals. A few tips for those that are watching right now.
Yeah. So first for me, like when I think in planned meals, I think of a plate. So like we eat off of a plate. Most people, I always say, I'm like, how many of you eat off of a plate? People are going to raise their hand, right? So when I think of that, a quarter of my plate needs to be anchored with protein, whether that comes from beef, chicken, pork, whatever, or if you're doing beans or fish or whatever, it does not matter. But protein is so important. But for me, it's really the half of your plate. So half your plate really should be fruits and vegetables, if you can, more so than not. As I just said, cereal is okay for a meal too. But, getting your fruits and vegetables are some of the most important things as Oklahomans we can do. But there's also quite a bit of shaming that goes around canned vegetables as well too. And that's a really, really unfortunate situation in my opinion. Because right now, we're limited on grocery store ability. And it's green beans are green beans. If you're wanting to control that salt consumption, just rinse them off and still enjoy them. And kids might like the softer green beans better than they do those fresh ones, and that is a-okay. And so there is no reason to feel guilty about feeding your kids vegetables from a can. I just want people to know that it is okay. That it is okay. Just, you're doing the best we can with what we have. I've said that before. This happened because that's the way we always are. Parenting is hard, and there's no reason to feel shameful for feeding canned fruits and vegetables at all either.
Yep, that's a very good point. Very good point. So when you do your dirt road dietitian, it's you cooking meal for your family. Is that kind of mostly what people are going to see on there? Hey, this is a real mom who happens to be a registered dietitian as well, cooking a meal. So I mean, it's real life, essentially. What you're showing folks. I like that. I like that pitch for sure.
Yeah, that's just what I wanted to share, because there is so much. People are asking all the time. You'll see on social media, I'm tired. I don't know what to cook tonight. I don't know what to do. My kids want to eat this or that. And you cook once and you eat what we have, and that's okay. If you do not like it, that's okay too. We'll have breakfast in the morning. And so just kind of having that relaxed approach and not really worrying about pressuring to eat and all those things. There's a lady, science research that I definitely follow via the Ellen Satter Institute about feeding families and feeding kids. And it's really reassuring to know you're doing the right thing. But yeah, so that lens is what I create with my Instagram and my social media, is just providing a lens inside basically a dietitian's home. In addition to that, I do some virtual nutrition counseling. So I take on a limited number of clients every year that may have been through some of the diet channels, or they just really have lost every ounce of food confidence potentially, or they just are seeking more food confidence in knowing what's okay and what should I be eating. And so I take those on too, and we really just navigate that. And I'm looking to improve their relationship with food.
That's great. Really good. You have, we hadn't really talked about this, but certainly, a lot of the talk around, healthy eating is what our kids are eating in our public schools system. You got over 700,000 kids that attend public schools in Oklahoma. And, there's always talk about feeding kids better meals at public schools. Any thoughts on that? Or I'm assuming this has probably been brought up maybe to you in the past as a dietitian. People always like to complain about it. We have 4 kids in the Jinx public school system. And I would tell you, I know they're trying because I see that, and they're trying to innovate there. But any pointers again for the school system, or parents that are maybe a little paranoid about sending their kids just to public schools and eating those meals?
And so in my experience, I don't work with it often, but I do know we have some great programs, especially at Oklahoma State University, that's called Cooking with Kids. And they do a lot of training with food service personnel in schools to really address some of those issues that we have talked about. And there is a lot of stigma, and there has always been, around school food. And it's really unfortunate. Our school here, my kids my oldest is kindergarten, so I have a kindergartner and a 3-year-old. But he is 6 years old, goes to kindergarten, and they love their food there. They just take such pride. It is a very small school, but they're doing very similar to what I'm doing here in my own home because of those guidelines that they have set forth to them too. And so, get involved. Kind of know what's going on within that school. Don't just
totally get involved.
Just get involved. That's my piece of advice there.
You mentioned the program at OSU. Repeat that again, because I think a lot of folks might be interested in looking that up.
It's called Cooking with Kids. I think it's with kids. Cooking for kids. One of those two. Anyway, my graduate school advisor, her name is Dina Hildebrand, heads that program.
Okay. OSU does amazing work when it comes to food and obviously agriculture. One of the leading universities in the world when it comes to those issues. So yeah, I'll certainly have to look that up. So you have families that really the month of April was closed, as I kind of like to say, unfortunately. May is, there's going to be some of that going on in May as well. And then families are going right into summer months. So you have this very long summer break essentially, and parents are going to start getting very fatigued. Advice for them again, as they're trying to still be healthy and cooking meals in July and August, as hopefully, kids are going to be going back to school. I'll be praying for that myself, but again, maybe a few thoughts on that. I mean, just the fatigue that families, and again, just the cost, right? Hey, it may be cheaper for me to go down to McDonald's every once in a while, which again, we're not saying you can't eat out some every once in a while like that, but some thoughts on that of just how to keep this going, because we may have started off pretty strong for a couple weeks in April, but now once we get into the month of May, how do we keep this going?
That's a heavy question because it's like a 5-month summer break. And I, as a mom and a dietitian, but I'm also a farmer's wife. And so basically at every phone call, I always tell my husband changes our world because something breaks down, something goes. So we are on go all the time, whether or not we have this pandemic or not. Yeah. But I really just take it 1 week at a time, sometimes one day at a time, because you just don't know what you're going to get. So in an example that we have right now in our house is I really honestly had never made an omelet until this week. And so my kids were bored with cereal. They were bored with oatmeal. They were bored with yogurt. Like we were not eating breakfast well at all. I'm just 100% sharing that. Yeah. And omelets have been a massive hit this week. That's for this week. I'm already worried about how I transition on. That I don't know yet. But so I'm just going to relish in that moment that I have right now and then keep moving forward. The other thing is even again, in my Instagram stories and even on my website, dirtroaddietitian.com, I have pantry staples for purchase in my store that you can just have a list of staples and kind of have them in your house.
That's
and
great.
More times than not, when I'm sharing meals, it's coming from those pantry staple lists too, just to kind of have those and kind of have them in basically your kitchen toolkit. And a lot about living in your kitchen, because as you can see, this is where I am today, because we live here right now. But a lot about it is just increasing your kitchen confidence too. I talk about food confidence, but you also want to increase your kitchen confidence, and this is part of it. But it's also allowing your kids in the kitchen too to help you as a parent too. It may not be clean and it may not be done quite the way that you want it, but that's an option too. And then again, I keep my simple suppers saved in my Instagram stories and those little circles in the profile. And a lot of people tell me all the time that they just go through there just to look for ideas. Yeah. So there's not recipes or anything like that, but they're just looking for ideas. And that's where I want people to come and just receive inspiration.
So the simple suppers, they're in your Instagram stories. Okay, that's good. And what is your Instagram handle?
It is Dirt Road Dietitian, and dietitian is spelled DIETITIAN.
I needed that. I definitely needed that. And again, your website again
is the same. Dirt Road Dietitian, DIRTROAD DIETITIAN.
I love it. So it is, but you can't forget it. I think it's great. Any final thoughts for us? Again, this is some very helpful nuggets. Again, I certainly hope that people watching this will visit your website, visit your Instagram stories, because again, it's one family at a time in the state. We got 4 million people in the state of Oklahoma, and to have simple, healthy meal advice and help, I think we need that right now. Again, if we want to become healthier as a state, I think healthy families, if you're not healthy, that leads to a whole lot of other bad side effects, essentially, heart disease and the statistics that we see with childhood obesity and diabetes rates are not where they should be in the state of Oklahoma. And again, it's going to take this kind of effort, I believe. Just again, one family at a time. But any final thoughts for folks watching?
One thing I do want them to remember is we're all doing the best that you can, and I want you to do the best that you can. Do not compare yourself to others. Easier said than done. But at the end of the day, are you getting fruits? Did you even eat fruits and vegetables today? And attempt half your plate fruits and vegetables, anchor your plate with protein. And it does not matter if it's frozen, fresh, or canned, to attain those things as well too. And again, being a registered dietitian, a mom, and agriculture, I really do think we are all in this together. Everybody's story is going to be a little bit different, but it's just something that I think it's a place that we can really support each other and really provide a place of building each other up, and we can build some healthy habits, including food, but also being active along the way as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So Sheri with Dirt Road Dietitian, folks watching, please check her out. Great interview, Sheri. Thank you so much for, again, this is Okla Proud Interviews, putting a little bit more pride, certainly in me, knowing there's folks like you out there Again, you love this state. You're raising your family in this state. You're raising produce in this state. We cannot and doing it the right way. So thank you so much.
And I'm proud to be one.
Thank you.